Hi, I'm Matt Davey. I run a startup in town called Everpress. We make mobile apps and have some web stuff alongside that. I also work for a password manager company, and I'm always interested in development situations, like as is. How many people use a password manager? So, yeah, hands up. Wow, that's scary. So other people write them down, store them in a text file, have encryptable.
Use the same password.
Use the same password for everything. Welcome to Heartbleed. Yeah. So how many people out of the people put their hands up use one password? Okay, that's not bad. Yeah.
That's probably not feeling very secure after the SSL news in the last famous video, is it?
Well, yeah. You know, if you use LastPass, I think that's kind of vulnerable. But there we go. I won't mention anymore. Yeah, so that's cool. I am a UI designer for 1Password. We have about 3-ish million customers, and it's on most devices. We're coming across to kind of the more third-party ones, but yeah, check it out. It's quite cool. So what I want to talk to you today about is naughty and nice design advice. Nice rhyming there. I'll try and make it fun for those who don't really, want to bother about design. But even if you're just presenting some sort of text file, it might be nice if add headings and stuff. So hopefully you can pick some stuff up, and I can kind of make jokes. So the first thing I want to talk about is accessibility. It's relevant to everybody, not just those with disabilities. So it's good practice, such ease of use and clarity and stuff like that. But there are also steps that you can take to make your product better for those with color blindness, dyslexia, that sort of thing. So I always find that a title, you need to be, clear, concise, say what it is. If it fits on 2 lines, think about it. You might not need 2 lines. And I'm always for making stuff slightly bigger. You might have to scroll, but how many people kind of scroll on a mobile device? Everybody. You just see them walking along, just, scrolling. So, yeah, accessibility, big thing, done right.
Shouldn't the title be larger?
There's usually standard sizes. I like to keep to those. These are just demos. So copy. It's important how you handle errors as well. So, everybody needs an error number because that number goes back to support and then goes to the developers and you go, oh, that went wrong. But you can always be friendly about your copy. It is software, so, it has to speak software, but it's speaking to a human. So you can be friendly and authoritative with it. An emotional connection does usually result in a better experience with your product. The one example I like to use is Twitter versus your online banking. Like, they're always going to have your money, but you're not really, you're not really angry and passionate when your online bank says, we're doing maintenance right now, and we're not too bothered. But when Twitter goes down, everybody's like, Twitter's down. When your money's in the bank, like, you can't get access to your money. You should be really passionate about that. But it's that kind of friendly speak and that kind of attachment to an account, that emotional connection that I think, Twitter has designed. They have designed it so I feel more attached to my Twitter than I do to many other things. So that's not right. I got my slides in the wrong order. So this is contrast on context. So the top one is perfectly, acceptable. It's a form. Put your URL in there. What say Twitter again. What URL you want. It's a unique URL with no spaces. It's all right, but you could do it like the bottom. It's contextual. It shows contrast. You immediately go to that point, and it tells you whether you've done it right or not. it doesn't tell you how to do it, maybe you stop putting spaces in there because it is a URL. So it's all about the context of the field around it. So this is on balance, and I've done this as kind of a web page because I always find that the web pages are sometimes imbalanced if they go for a kind of I don't know. It's the sidebar thing that always bothers me. You know, maybe your client has a WordPress thing, and they've got all their posts down the side, and you're like, yeah, that's nicely done. And then they add like 60 million posts as soon as you give them the website, and it just goes. And you've just got this whole blank bit on the left-hand side. So yeah, I always think that it's nice if you can even up the two columns. It's certainly easier to balance stuff that way, and interject stuff inside the text. So if you've got a recent date and it's related to the text on the left, it's always nice to just balance that up. So hierarchy is another thing that that bothers me quite a lot in mobile apps. I think a lot of people try to put kind of the as much branding as they can into that top header bar, and when really what you should be reading is the text. You know, you get the logo as soon as you log into the app, and then later on you can see, you know, it's there all the time. So I think the advertising message should always go kind of underneath what you need to do. You shouldn't ever break up content if you can help it.
How would you deal with, for example, my marketing director would disagree with you there because he probably wanted an advertising message above the important text as well, and maybe below the start bar as well, and perhaps in the middle of the text as well. How do you go about sort of beating them out of breaking things?
Persuasion in just revisions, really. I'd like to do a lot of iterations, and what I find works the best is if you continue to just pummel out kind of designs and show them that it really, you know, doesn't work. What are they wanting to do here? If it's a sign-up process and you've got an advert in the sign-up process, what do you really want? People to sign up, or do you want people to click on the advert? Like, if you encompass this part as an activity and everything below that as kind of marketing, online banks are a good one as well, because they always put marketing messages everywhere, all over the sign-up. And this Finnish bank, you can Google it, I can't remember what it's called, some name with J's and F's in it. They removed all marketing messages from their homepage, and it saw a 50 or 60% climb in sign-ups. I think they probably changed the information as well, but you know, 50 or 60% is a massive amount for a bank. You know, usually they make decisions based on single percent, so it's very impressive. So that's a good case study to look at. Yeah, so use bold sparingly as well, because I've seen this font doesn't have a nice weight, so let's put the whole paragraph in bold. Let's just never do that again. So typography, I could literally stand here and talk about typography forever, but I think most people would fall asleep. It's often overlooked, mainly because it's very hard to get right, and I think only a few people notice if it is really truly correct, and it's down to experience as well. I think, you know, you can lay out text several times and not quite get it right, and it's that one time that it looks right and you kind of think it's magic. It should be a comfortable line length, size and contrast for reading. So on the left we have a ridiculous line length. You know, just because you've got the width of the browser doesn't mean you should use it all. And you know, columns are really nice. So and on the left we've got kind of a picture breaking up the middle of the text. We've got the same amount of text on the other side, and I've interjected some quotes to kind of break it up. And the title is obviously a lot bigger than the main text as well. So just breaking it up, I think it feels like a completely different piece. Getting more complex, here are my pet hates. So, buttons. When you align a text box to a button, I find that this really doesn't work. So what you're taking here is the whole of the Y height. So the whole of the text box is aligned to the middle, whereas if you look at that, that's actually not to the middle. It looks higher. So I find what needs to be done is, oh, that's moved down on my slide. That's a bit dodgy. Anyway, if this was centered, this bit here, it would look in the center in terms of taking none of the descenders, so the little bits that hang off the text. If you center that bit and just that bit, it looks a lot nicer. So the second thing about buttons, which I absolutely despise, is having an outer box and having that exactly the same corner radius as the inner box. So if anybody ever did wood shop, you know, it's kind of American, sorry. I work with Americans. If you have a box and you round the corners and it's kind of an A-frame of a box, the inner corner would not look right if it was the same as the outer corner. So I find what you have to do is you take the gap in between the two boxes and minus that from the corner radius, and then you end up with this much better looking border with an outer radius. It's a very little thing, but trust me, people notice. Some people. The last button, on hover, inner shadows. If you're hovering over something, you're not pressing it. The pressed styles that look like, well, when you hover over them and they look like they're pressed, I've had no end of people in A/B testing and stuff like this that get totally confused and think the page is loading when they roll over it. Like you and I would obviously go, I haven't clicked that. That's not loading. But honestly, there are some morons out there that just hover over and think, oh, it's embedded into the page. I must have clicked it. So yeah, hover, darker. This is actually a darker color than that, although it doesn't really look like it. Darker means pressed. Inset, darker means hover. Inset means pressed.
The aligned text bit there. So in CSS, if you do vertical aligned middle, which one does that use?
I believe it does this, but I've seen people correct it to this because a designer has made a really bad PSD. Yeah, I've seen it been done. It's amazing. It's like let's correct this designer. No, the guy who made CSS or whatever was that's correct. So yeah, just be careful to look out for it, and if it's there, it's there. This is another one about aligning text. I cannot remember what CSS is default for lists, but this really annoying. I've seen this in a couple of places where you've got an icon and it's like sat at the bottom of the G and it's just slightly off on every row. Cache points are classic for this. Every time you go to a cache point and the icon is like down there and the text is like up here, and then the button, well, that's just like buggered off way over there. They run on Windows XP, people, be scared.
I wonder if it's the same person who's, whatever height they are testing these.
I honestly,
Different height people or something.
I've designed a few cache points in my time, and I understand why they're like that. So like, all kudos to the people who actually have to design these things. But like, there are some terrible ones out there. I've seen buttons in the middle of two portions of text. One being eject my card, and one being give me the regular amount that I usually have. So there's some clever cash points out there that remember what you had last time. So I had £10 and a receipt, and they'll say, would you like £10 and a receipt? But they've been really dumb in positioning that in between the button in between two options, eject my card and give me what I had last time. So I'd rather go back through the menu and then pick what I had last time. So, you know, the thinking that went in there just erased by just lining stuff up. So yeah, this is how you should align stuff. So you can either do it. So if you have a small icon like this, aligning it like this to the X height, or aligning a bigger icon like this. I find that's kind of natural sizing to get stuff the same as the text. Just because icons come in 16 pixels doesn't mean you should always use 16 pixels. Although, you know, maybe it does look good. So the next one, I'm quite interested. Who can tell the difference between the two triangles? Yeah? So this is an equilateral triangle, and this is a play icon. This is not a play icon. It's equilateral triangles. It's almost as lazy as someone going X as an exit. Like the letter X as a cross button. That should like never have happened. I don't know where. Like I've seen this a couple of times, and like you can look at it and see that that's an X. Like everybody can. This one is a little bit more kind of pernickety. Someone, you know, might go, really? Is that kind of a little bit too pointy? That's the one I always get. Is it too pointy? Well, this one is actually as pointy as this one. It's just that that's 100% height and 100% width, and this is 80% width and 100% height. So don't use equilateral triangles. This is a good one. I always see this. It makes me shudder every time. I actually saw this on the NorDev thing that went out the other day. I know.
Can I just say, here or click here are the worst things to have as anchor text for a variety of reasons. Firstly, SEO reasons, or more importantly, accessibility reasons, because screen readers will read your links in one go and it'll go, click here, link, click here, link.
Yeah.
It says nothing to a visually disabled.
What I learned is you don't even get a choice, because you give your client a content management system, and that's what they do all the time in there, don't they? Like, here's a link to some page, and there's always click here to whatever. So when you have a content management system,
When you give content management systems to clients, everything goes out the window, I find. You know, you can only do a certain amount of educating when someone's, you know, using the internet that when they shouldn't be, you know, those people that really just shouldn't use the internet. Yeah, when I say here, what I mean is here, as in not the word here, but as in here. That's what you are doing, action. Yeah, this should have died a death a long time ago, and it's still kind of in use. I think probably because, like you said, you know, you give it to people who don't really understand the internet. Click the link in this tweet is always a good one. I quite enjoy that. Click the link in this tweet. Just put the link in the tweet. So that's kind of it from me. Apart from what I do want to do, because I kind of knew I'd have time. Yeah. Is a little bit of a demo of what we're working on. Just to get some kind of feedback if you guys like it. I just need to join my phone to the Wi-Fi. Sorry, should have done that in advance.
Remember the password.
Sorry, no, I can't. That's ironic, isn't it? I don't have it. Hmm?
They've got big ass
Where's the Wi-Fi gone?
Is designed to fit in with the style of the rest of the site.
Oh, I've got to join it on my phone as well. I'll tell you what I'll do is
So
just
when they actually
create a
start
network on my
to
phone.
Start the speed test. It's actually magic.
It's called guesswork before I just put another.
I've done this with
Don't know why you're not saying it. There.
I was worried that I should have set out this up before.
Because I can't make sound. You know, you have to think I probably need to redesign.
Come on.
I do it tiny
All we need is our technical problem slide.
Wait, there we go.
Do, 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 do.
You can just stand there and hum that tune the whole time.
I think you should do that. We want to see Dum Dum.
Well, one of our devs actually jokingly did that on the television out there, put up a slide, and I knew he was doing that, so I cranked the volume up full and left it for a few days. He put it up there, middle of a conference call, blaring out of the television.
It's guest web, yeah.
Guess what?
Let's try that.
It's capital V. 1. NEYARD. Or command / find guest web in there.
Still not finding it on my phone. Ah, there we go.
I'd say get an iPhone.
V1NEYARD.
It's Vineyard, with the very hard to crack 1 instead of an I.
Sneaky.
No
I'm
comment.
adding seconds onto how long it takes to break.
Was that a capital V? on
It is a
that?
capital V as well, yes.
Right, so I should be able to go like this. Come on. Do you have Apple TVs or something?
No.
Not because I want to use one, but because I cannot seem to reflect my monitor.
You don't try and collect my hotspot. You have to say WPS on it.
It's not Wi-Fi that's the problem. It's this little piece of software called Reflector, which puts my phone up on the projector. I think I need to close and open it.
People who weren't here for the launch of Whitespace, one of the presenters actually had their phone live projecting onto the wall, and they got a tweet midway through. And you could see the entire audience suddenly going, pulling down their phones.
I don't think this is working. Right, version 2.
Do you have an IR simulator and the version running on that?
No, but I do have a movie. So this is one of the things that we're building at the moment, and it is basically a print-on-demand system on your mobile. And I just wanted to show some of the niceties that we've kind of added. In my Mob DevCon talk, I'll talk a bit more about kind of building nicety into design and into your products. But one of the things that I'm really happy with in this new version of Haberdash is the fact that if you pull this screen down in a minute when we do it, if you pull it down, the cushion jumps, and how much you pull the cushion down equals how high the cushion jumps. So if you pull it down a little bit, just like, and if you like properly pull that thing down, you can even do it with 2 fingers, and then the cushion just flies off and come back like 10 minutes later.
Is there a hidden angry cushions game in there?
And so because we do photo scarves very soon as well, scarves are obviously lighter than cushions. So when you pull it down on the scarves, it kind of casually floats down and lands. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what we're building at the moment. And yeah, there's a lot of physics involved where you normally wouldn't see physics. On our screens, when you add something to basket, the modal falls, and if you tilt your phone, it'll fall to that side. So it knows, it uses the accelerometer basically and just falls down wherever that is. So most people kind of hold their phones like slightly on a tilt, so it'll always fall that way. And just little niceties like that I find really work in design.
You seem to have a fairly unique way of entering the credit card number. There was all in one line.
I cannot take credit for that, even though I would like to. That is Stripe. If you use their mobile API, it's really nice. You just go, and then it'll switch the screen along. Similar for web as well. They've really nailed payment stuff. We also have a web version of Haberdash coming up as well. So the nicety that I wanted to build into the web was something different. So just got my screen recorder.
Again, why are you pressing Command/?
So as you can see, the background color changes based on the average color of the image. So it always feels like, you know, if that is the kind of decor that you have in your house where you want this kind of cushion, then the wall matches the cushion. So yeah, little niceties like that I find are very nice, and that is everything that I wanted to show. We're building some games and stuff as well, so if anybody ever wants to chat about making mobile games or anything like that, just come and see me. And
Matt, what's your view of browser-based mobile apps and hybrid apps, and why do so many people still use them?
I can't answer your second question because of my first answer. I don't think you can get the kind of finesse. Maybe other people don't notice. This must be the game that that those companies are trying to go for. But I don't think you can get the finesse of having platform-specific stuff on a cross-platform app. Lots of companies have tried it. I know Hotel Tonight uses Titanium, and Hotel Tonight is a fantastically beautiful app. But everybody's answer when you say it's built in Titanium is, wow, really? Which is not the kind of response that you want to a cross-platform. So I'm always wary of them, but some companies really do well on them. And I think Hotel Tonight, if you haven't downloaded it, download it, because it's really beautifully nice, and it is perfectly cross-platform as well. All the animations work, all the because that I think is one of the problems of building something cross-platform. I've worked on a massive project that was cross-platform. There were like 50 features, 100 screens. They built them all in HTML, CSS, and then they ran them through their own version of PhoneGap. So they built their own version of PhoneGap specific to this app, so they could call native things that they needed and like disregard stuff that they didn't. And then it, obviously they were testing on Android as they went along, and then like just the feature creep just went up just a bit too much, and then Android just went, I don't want to run it, and just crashed every time, and they couldn't solve it. So they ended up launching it on iOS only.
I can answer your second question. My marketing director's left. I mean, certainly for us, the board want an app. They're keen that we should have an app. Our mobile presence is provided by Mobify. There is absolutely no way that we can expose any kind of API for an app to hook onto. So the only option we've got is to provide a launcher, but basically a skinned web browser, to then display our modified version of the website, thus satisfying the we want an app requirement.
That's a we want a mobile website requirement. But yeah.
Yeah, that's another argument for another day.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a hotly contested thing at the moment. I think if you're gonna make your business off selling apps, there's no way that you can do it.
No.
Like, if your business is using an app and people use it to get something, and it's not, you know, like something someone's going to use every day, then I think you can save yourself that development time, and I don't think it will matter too much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Given that you're native, how do you manage the skills requirement for that? Is your team equally capable in Objective-C and on Android, or do you split it?
So I have 3 developers and 1 designer working for me. I have 1 iOS, 1 Android, and 1 web. I used to have 2 web and 1 iOS, and then he went, I'll learn Android. So that worked out perfectly, seeming as Proxar must steal all the Android developers. We have varied skills on the team. I would say that, you know, in the extra cost that comes with an iOS developer against, you know, doing everything with 1 web developer, it's a lot faster. The web version of Haberdash that I just showed you took about twice as long as the mobile version.
Right.
Yeah. Because there's SDKs, people have like experimented and just you can just download that and run it. You know, Android's a bit different. You kind of download, compile, and it breaks, and then, you know, you have to kind of rejig stuff. But yeah, it's a lot faster.
Right.
Which again comes to the cross-platform decision of do I want a cross-platform app, or do I want a native app, or do I want to, you know, to build an iOS app? It's really quick. I think that's all the questions.
One more.
Oh,
One
one more.
password for Linux, when's it coming?
1 password for Linux is actually not coming. It's a pet project of someone on the team, but we don't know. There's a Windows version update coming, which is, I am designing the UI for it at the moment, so don't look in the forums because everybody's like, what? But you know, designing for Windows is very tricky, and designing for Linux is even more tricky. So, I mean, if we could release an app that was just like natively styled, people wouldn't use this as much as they do, I think. So it's that kind of, you know, do you want to design, or do you want it on every platform now? So
Your Linux users don't care because they're all geeks.
apparently,
Password, I want them to use it as well, because we're using 2 password managers.
then speak to me about an enterprise. But yeah, we have 1 password anywhere, which is like it writes to an HTML file, and then you can view that like in Dropbox and stuff like that. Not many people know about it. Don't know why. I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, apparently developers don't use password managers, which was kind of a shock. I expected like everybody's hand to go up and everybody went like KeyPass or something. But yeah, it's a case of you know, we go where the most sales and where our users all shout at us, I think, as a business proposition. You know, we get the most people shouting at us on iOS, you know, because they redesigned the whole platform, and we're not quite ready to release the next one yet. So I think, yeah, we go there.
So with 1 password, how do users use that if they're not allowed to install the software on the machine they're sitting at?
You can use 1 password anywhere through the Dropbox website if you sync via Dropbox.
Yeah, but if the machine's locked down, they won't be allowed to install Dropbox on that machine.
No, you can do it through the Dropbox website.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I guess you could do. Obviously, all the browser filling and everything like that, you're just going to miss out on, which is a shame. But yeah, there are specific tools where you can kind of have the machines locked down. But there, yeah, I guess you can use the mobile version and then create phonetic passwords that will basically, it seems to always spell out rude words when I do it in public, so I won't do it now. But yeah, apparently randomly, it just wants to embarrass me, but you do a slider and then it creates phonetic things, and you put hyphen in the middle. And they're quite easy to type in. I find that if I don't have it installed on a computer, or it's a foreign computer, 4 letters, hyphen, 4 letters, hyphen, 4 letters, hyphen, 4 letters. You know, it's as easy as anything. And you're still secure.
You get one password for Teams, or is that what you're mentioning Enterprise? It's just there's only like 3 or 4 people that would be handy to actually all share the same. Well, like it might be that we have a wiki collaboration tool as one thing, or an issue tracker here, and a few other things, and you just want, you know,
Shove it in the
passwords
Dropbox,
or
share that
something
folder,
like
and it just works.
Yeah.
Shove it in Dropbox, share that folder, and it just works.
So we have this thing called multiple vaults, which means you can have a vault for the company, and you can store that vault on Dropbox, and then you can all share that around, and you can also have your personal vault, and then you put all your own passwords in there, and you switch between the two. So for my startup that I kind of run the rest of the week, we have a shared Dropbox, and in that we have a different password for AWS, and we have a different password for our Twitter, because if our Twitter ever got compromised, which, you know, with Heartbleed, it's only a matter of time before all of the passwords are, you know, you have to change them all. You should really have a different one for absolutely everything, and how to remember that other than, you know, a password manager.
Should we take a break?
Okay,
15 minutes, and then thank you very much.
no worries. Thanks so much.